I'll call the meeting to order and start with roll call on the left.
Frank Mills, Bart Haskell.
June Gagnon.
Carla Stardens.
Katie O'Neill.
Brian Bright.
Sherry Pollard.
All right. All members are present. We do have a quorum and there are no alternates to appoint. Going into our public hearings, item A, 24-3 SPL, Alan Robert Carpenter, PE, requesting permission to create a boarding house in an existing building at 261 Main Street, Moosup, Assessor's Map 2M, Block 107, Lot 16, C2 zoning district. And do we have someone to speak for the applicant?
Good evening, I'm Diane Manning, President and CEO of United Services. We are the developer for the project. And I'm here to answer any questions that anyone might have from what we submitted.
Okay, if you could just, for the public hearing, just give a summary of your application and what you're planning on doing.
The application is to take an existing building and upgrade it so that it meets all fire and building code to be able to use it for multiple person housing. At this point, we're looking at 12 people for a staffed facility. At this point, we don't have any funding for it, so but we do have a lot of work that needs to be done. It needs to have some HVAC work done. It needs to have sprinklers put into it, and it needs to have site work done in order to support that use.
Okay. Anything else from the applicant? Okay, this is a public hearing, so if there's comments or questions from the audience, you can step up to the microphone, state your name and address, and then we will get your question or comment answered. So any comments or questions on the application?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Kevin Cunningham, 405 Moosup Pond Road, and I would ask to go through you for the questions.
Yeah.
That's okay?
Yeah.
If Diane could answer the question of, is this house an extension of the Milner house, or is it servicing a different purpose? Is it a transitional to the next phase for these residents to be able to move out?
And your current house is a group home, so it's a different set of rules.
Yes, our current house is a licensed group home. It's across Milner Street, so it's right across the street. It is not intended to be the same type of facility. It is intended, our long-term goal there is to use it as respite housing, so to use it for people who would be staying there only 2 or 3 weeks with intensive services in order to get medications in place, etc. Milner House, people stay for several years, and this is for individuals who are either have been hospitalized and are coming out and going to day treatment programs during the day, or who are been waived off by the emergency room but really need more care before we can have them go home, essentially. So short-term placement. And it would be, again, staffed, overseen with medical director and nursing as well.
So the staff would be long-term, but the tenants would be short-term and rotational.
Yes, that's our goal. But it is not intended to be a place for step down from Milner or step up to Milner. It's actually from hospital care.
So there's no relationship to the group?
No.
Okay. Any other comments or questions from the public on this application? Okay, and I see your staff walked in. Would you present the plan that we're looking at, please? Thank you.
Sorry.
No problem. I saw you out of the corner of my eye, so.
I was going to be here 10 minutes early, but there was a missing child in the vicinity of Allen Hill Road,
Oh, no.
and I had to stop. And I had to race down 205 to try to find parents. And
Okay.
I'm trying to think, was that the first time I used that excuse here?
Good Samaritan or the train. There you go. And if you could just reference, if you could put it so it kind of faces the audience as well, and then just cite what page you're looking at so we can follow along.
just, you know, on your plans, page C3 was not the correct one, and it's now on the bottom of the file.
Oh, good to know. Thank you. C3 is unreplaced.
I did write void on it.
Got it.
There's not a big audience here. So you want me to show?
Yeah, just kind of angle it so that the board can see it, but the public can as well. And if you need to take that microphone with you, you can. It comes out.
All right. So, let me just go right to the, oh, is this preferred?
Yeah.
All right. All right, so what you see here is the current house is right there, so the footprint of the house is not going to
Which page are you
change. We're on the updated C3.
Updates. Got it.
And the reason it's updated is it included the correct number of parking spots for phase 2. So what we have, the footprint of the house will stay the same. And we're going to make the front porch bigger to accommodate, accessibility and wheelchair. We've added a ramp right here. Not a ramp, well, there is a ramp, but there's a walkway that'll go to the parking lot. And then we've also included redoing the back porch as well, just because it'll be bigger and well built. So then we have the parking here. So we have garbage right over here, and then we have the spaces, and then the perforated area right here is for expansion. We really don't anticipate that we're gonna need this, but that would be, a phase 2 type of a thing. We've also included a stockade, like a white vinyl fencing, just to kind of have privacy for the neighbors.
And how is the lighting different than what is currently on that property?
So currently there is not exterior lighting. Maybe there's a light post or a floodlight. But the lighting proposal will be, actually, I don't have. Yeah, we don't have a big copy of that, but it will have a couple light poles. We're thinking it's going to be 18 feet at the highest, and would be dark sky compliant. And then the second phase would also include, an 18-foot light post. I believe we also have a 12-foot closer to the house.
Any other comments or questions from members of the public? Yeah. There's no limit on number of times
Yes,
you
sir.
can.
Oh, here. Kevin, I can read your lips. Here you go.
Just one thing, I would say that I'm in favor of the project. I have worked with United Services in the past. They do an excellent service for the community, and I have yet to find any issues with what they've done so far with Milner House, and I think this would be a great addition for that area. And supportive services for those in need in this area as well.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from the public on this application? Any comments or questions from board members? Any comments or questions from staff? Okay, hearing and seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
I'll second that.
A motion by Bart to close the public hearing, a second by June. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Public hearing is closed. Moving on to item B, 24-1SA of Albert and Susan Monty applying for a 2-lot re-subdivision of 257 Moosa Pond Road, Assessor's Map 22, Block 88, Lot 20, RA 60 zoning district. Do we have someone to speak for the applicant?
There was a failure of notification on this, so we are asking to not open the public hearing and continue it to next month.
Okay, so no action then if we're not opening because we don't have to continue.
Correct.
Okay, so moving on to item C, 24-6 SPL, Plainfield Garage and Storage, requesting site plan approval for a 10,450 square foot self-storage facility at 750 Norwich Road, Assessor's Map 17, Block 36A, Lot 15, C2 Commercial Zoning District. Do we have someone speaking for the applicant? Applicant not present? Oh, there you go.
It's the same, Greg Blood from Plainfield Engineering Associates, and that is also another one that we failed to notice on that one.
Okay.
So we're going to ask you to
Not
postpone
open
that
it?
and open it till next month.
Okay,
We also don't have our DOT stuff back yet anyway, so.
all right, so not opening. We will see you next month, thank you. Item D, 24-11SP, Town of Plainfield, requesting special permit to add 12-foot by 24-foot shed and relocate existing 12-foot by 20. Assessor's Map 2P, Block 19A, Lot 6, RA 19, zoning district.
Good evening again. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Kevin Cunningham, 405 Moosa Pond Road. I will speak to this application. The Town Hall storage shed application is a request for the existing shed that's behind the Town Hall within the parking lot area to be moved and relocated to the maintenance garage area. And in addition to that, the storage room of the Town Hall, the former shooting gallery, has deteriorated to the point where we have to actually go out and fill that in order to then utilize that space downstairs for the items that we have down there. We look to, with this application, we'll look to have an additional shed that's needed for the storage space being lost, and both are being proposed to be located next to the maintenance garage, and the 2 sheds are proposed to be located in line with the existing maintenance garage, 10 feet off the property line, which complies with the zoning regulations. I've requested a waiver of the formal site plan requirements as permitted by the municipal use regulations, and you do have a sketch hopefully in front of you of where the site would be.
So this is going to be up on the grass, so it's not impacting parking?
Correct.
Is that correct? So if you look on the back side of the staff report, you'll see the sketch showing the 2 buildings up from the parking area next to the current garage that's in the back lot over here. Now, is that part of the floodplain area?
I believe it is.
There is floodplain over there.
Yep.
This is not considered to be living quarters, so,
Like temporary storage, so it wouldn't
Right.
require like footings or...
yeah, so there's no living space here, there's no foundation, it's just put on fresh stone.
Okay. Any questions regarding this application and request? This is a public hearing, so if there's anybody in the audience with a comment or question on this application, this is your opportunity. Any comments or questions from board members? Comments or questions from staff? Okay, hearing and seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make that motion to close the public hearing.
I have a motion by June, a second by Frank. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Public hearing is closed. Moving on to item E, 24-12SP, Justin Parapiano, requesting special permit to construct 28 by 42 foot building for water treatment at Connecticut Water Facility at 0 Park Ave, Assessor Map 4P, Block 18C, Lot 29A, RA 60 zoning district.
Good evening. Justin wasn't able to attend tonight, so I'm presenting his place. My name is Scott Bonnet. I'm the Director of Engineering at Connecticut Water Company. Accompanied by their engineers, Weston Sampson, who will be giving a technical portion of the presentation. overall, the purpose of the project, this is over at the Gallup Well Field, which is at the corner of Park and Easy Street. Consists of a couple structures, and we've got one well on that site and another well behind Spring Street. Currently, they have different treatment. They go to the system, they don't combine prior to treatment. So what we're doing is we're proposing a new building to have combined chemical treatment for both wells, 1 and 2, to try to improve the resiliency and redundancy of the water supply for the town of Plainfield. With that, I'll turn it over to Weston Sampson. Will you introduce yourself?
Do you have a large copy of these plans?
I asked for those to be delivered to us tonight. I don't know if you had any.
That's why I have them. I think Justin left them on my desk. Can I give them? You want to go get them now?
Yes, I would like them distributed among members, because my vision's good, but it's not that good.
We've got these.
So, we like to,
We have 11 by 17, does that work?
we need them. There's fine print, so we would like the big ones if you have them.
We've got one full size and the rest of them.
Okay, give us what you have.
Okay.
And you do have them with you, right?
Yeah, they're right off there.
Okay, because we can certainly move on if you're not prepared. And if you could please reference what sheet you're on while you're presenting, that'll be helpful.
My name is Kevin McKenna with Weston Sampson, project engineer, project manager for this project. We're looking at, sheet C2, it's an existing conditions plan. Again, the project is located adjacent to Park Street, in an existing well field. Currently, there is a well building 1, which is a 20 by 18 building. And then to the west is a generator building, 24 by 25. There's some cleavage to the front. You want to go to C3? Show you.
You have to speak louder. If you want to take the microphone and hold it, that's fine as well.
So if we switch to C300, I can show you what we're looking at. What that we're looking at. Move about 1,400 lineal feet of existing piping, varying from 6-inch diameter to 12-inch diameter, and install 800 lineal feet of 6-inch and 12-inch piping to the service area. We're also looking to add some bituminous driveway to get access to the site, along with some new fencing, access gates, and controls. I'll turn it over to Joe for stormwater.
Good evening, members of the commission. My name is Joe Perugini with Weston Sampson. I'm a professional engineer and assisted in the stormwater management and erosion control measures for this project. This is, like Kevin mentioned, the proposed plan. On our previous plan, C200, that is our existing conditions. The stormwater runoff from this site all flows towards that area on this plan that you see highlighted in blue dashes up near Park Avenue. On the existing conditions plan, that is a low point. So the stormwater runoff naturally flows into that area, and I've highlighted that area in large blue dashes on the proposed plan, C300, because we're trying to match existing drainage patterns. So the added impervious area of the increase by bituminous pavement and the added roof area, we were required to manage that added impervious. It does flow towards that low point. We do have some stone trench drains to help it along, but with that existing low point on the site, stormwater runoff currently flows to it, some infiltrates, and the rest of it overflows over the driveway towards Park Avenue. Under the existing conditions, we increased that depression. It's only about 12 inches deep, so very shallow, but we widened it to from what's there now. And that was to detain the added runoff, the added volume, and give the area the ability to infiltrate better. We wanted to be sure that it would infiltrate. We knew that there would be good soils, but we had it tested just to make sure there wasn't high groundwater and the soils could infiltrate. We ran some infiltration testing. The soils were fine. And so that is helping with the stormwater by infiltrating naturally. Combined with the larger depression, this will result in no runoff leaving the site. So that would create some relief to Park Avenue. I do want to add that to the left of the building in yellow, you'll see some white areas. We've noted it on the plan as a future expansion. Right now, we made some assumptions for a potential building and pavement. It's about 1,900 square feet of possible impervious area. We have included that in our calculations. So the basin, if you will, is oversized in the event of a future expansion. We've added that to note number 15 on C300, just indicating that we've taken into account in this design additional 1,900 square feet of impervious area in the event of a future expansion. We also note that obviously it would have to come back for permitting, so if that assumption is incorrect and it's more, we'll certainly have to revise the calculations. But we thought it was worth, because we took it into consideration, we put it on the plans, it's going to become part of the record, and that when it gets revisited in the future, everyone is informed that it was included in the design. Other than that, like I mentioned, as far as stormwater, this will create a bit of an improvement, so less stormwater will be going to Park Avenue. It's a fairly small disturbed area, so we have included an erosion and sedimentation control plan. The entire disturbed area would be enclosed in a perimeter compost filter socks or silt fence. I think we call for silt fence. Sometimes we alternate the two. But as construction is entering and leaving the site, we'll have an anti-tracking pad. There is an existing gravel driveway, which that'll precede the anti-tracking pad, so it'll serve as an additional anti-tracking pad. So that'll help prevent the tracking of sediment onto Park Avenue. And the contract will be required to do street sweeping in the event that any sediment is carried onto the road. But pretty straightforward in terms of the construction. Looking ahead, we do have other permitting with the Department of Public Health. There's a couple of permits that have been we've submitted for those, and that's undergoing review. And that will obviously follow local permitting. So we'd like to open the floor up to you if you have any questions for myself, Scott, or Kevin.
This is a public hearing, so if there's anybody in the audience with a comment or question on this application, this is your opportunity. Step up to the microphone, your name, address, and your comment.
I'm Dawn Webster. I live at 16 Easy Street. And I'm sure they're probably unrelated projects, but we have this huge dig up going on across the street from me right now. And when is the timeline of when you're planning on doing this other new project?
Proposed timeline for the...
We're in permitting right now with obviously with planning and zoning and DPH, hoping to bid end of summer with construction following in the spring, most likely.
So spring of '25.
Yes. Yep.
And about how long is the construction phase anticipated to take?
Probably about a year, year and a half.
Okay. Because excavation first, so what is the phasing or timeline of excavation versus construction?
They'll be happening simultaneously. They'll start with removal, excavation of the site, building the foundation for the building, and then work their way out with piping as they go. As far as street, we only have two minor street connections, here and here. That should be no more than a week each, if that, and everything else will be off-site, closer to the well itself.
So beginning in spring of '25, anticipated completion by fall of '26.
Yes.
Okay.
Rose Eames, 15 One Street. I'm a little confused on what you're treating, and I just want to have it clarified. You don't plan on treating wastewater in any way?
This is all domestic water.
Okay.
Yep.
So the use of the building is expansion of current use.
Yes.
So it's not changing the use, so the use that you currently have, this is just an expansion,
Right.
additional space for current use only.
There's one drinking wells on that site, and the other drinking well behind Spring Street. This is a building to house the treatment chemicals which protect from corrosion, adjust the pH accordingly so it protects pipes. And it's standard chemical treatment, and we're really just, you're already getting the treatment, we're just treating it all in one place instead of two different places.
So it's an accessory use to store the treatment chemicals on site instead of having to bring them in?
It's more of, so we don't have to have two separate, we'd have to have chemical storage over at Spring Street and one over at this site here. So to combine them together, make it more efficient, only have one chemical storage area, and make sure both wells can be treated, so you can use one or the other with complete treatment.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments from the public? Any comments or questions from board members?
Madam Chair, I have one.
Yeah, please.
Based on your timeline of 12 to 18 months and the proximity of this being the middle of one of the busiest neighborhoods in Plainfield, what are the service outages? The neighbors are already, there's a lot of pipe laying going on, a lot of roads being dug, questions about when this new system is coming online. I understand it's not your project, but if you guys are talking about outages and 2 feeds on the easy, what are the interruption potentials in the middle of the spring and the summer?
Majority of the work will be done off-site with the contractor at a way down area, probably over here, depending on how they want to work it. So we're hoping to have minimal disruption to Park Ave and Easy Street. Again, the only time they should be in disturbing traffic is these 2 connection points.
Let me rephrase. Are you going to be turning off anyone's water to the neighborhoods that these serve? That's what I want. That was my first question.
No.
This little tan building over here, this is well 1.
Yep.
So that's continuing to serve the neighborhood while we're building this new building, because we want to be able to continue service throughout.
Okay.
When it comes time to start up the building, they'll take a side stream off, so this will still be going on. You can't take that offline until this is proven out, approved by Department of Public Health to be used.
Okay.
So you're staying online the whole time?
Yes.
Yeah, this new infrastructure will be installed totally separate from the existing system until we get approval to.
Got it.
You're paving a pretty large apron, but it's not going to start at the road. You're going to have a gravel entrance, and then you will roll onto your pavement at your perimeter fence line.
Correct.
Is there a reason why you're not simply connecting to the road?
We're trying to keep the footprint inside the fence. We're connecting to an existing paving patch, and then we're leaving everything else to the north as is.
It's a pretty big improvement. Frankly, in fairness, I live in Sunnybrook. I drive by your pump station literally twice a day. You're proposing a fairly large pad, a new building addition that pretty much, I think there's about 8 neighbors that back onto that property between, I think, one of the women that spoke and others. I'm just going, in for a penny, in for a pound. I just don't understand the stop point, so maybe that's just my ignorance in the scenario.
Something we can
definitely look at. We can look at it and extend it out too, if that's a preference.
Curious. Thank you, Madam. I appreciate the time.
Yep, absolutely. Any other questions from the public? Or comments from board members? Anything from staff? Yeah, please.
You have identified on here four test pits.
They are included in the stormwater report, and they will be included in the specifications that go into construction to inform the contractor. They were done in the area of the stormwater basin to verify that we can infiltrate accordingly. Is there borings?
Do we have a copy or a summary of
Yes,
that
we do.
report?
We do have a boring.
We also have borings in the building area. That's going to be in the contract documents. We just make sure that there's no ledge or unsuitables, anything that would affect the design of the building, the bearing capacity of the foundations. To answer your question, the stormwater report was submitted to the portal, and it's in one of the appendices.
Do you have a copy of this? Do you have a hard copy or a hard copy?
I could pull up.
Yes, please.
Would you like to see the
I would
test
like a
pits?
summary of it, please. I thought so. I thought so. Yep. So the test pit information is not included as a detail sheet of the plan?
It's not. We can certainly add it to the plans.
It's helpful.
Yeah. And we can make that part of the final record set that is accepted by the town. So in the beginning of the stormwater report, we do identify, and I know it's not easy for you to read from there. We discussed a summary of the field investigation with shallow test holes being dug, no evidence of ledge, seasonal high groundwater, or other restrictive features found. Soils were evaluated at a design depth of 12 inches below existing grade. The soils were identified as silt and fine sand, and we did testing with a double ring infiltrometer. I can scroll down to the test pit information.
Ryan, did we have town engineer review this application?
No, it's not such a small scale, it's such a large area.
Would that be the engineer's call, whether it needed a full report or a cursory review?
Small scale project. It's not much bigger than a residential home.
Except it's a water plant. Right? I mean, we're not talking about residential use here, we're talking about a water company. Right.
You definitely do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like more information, and I would like engineer review of this application. I'm not sure if board members feel we need more information, but I am getting the feeling that we do. I think this application needs to be looked at a little more closely, given the impacts to the neighborhood, and the fact that it's not residential, it's a water company. So we want to make sure that we're not missing something with our lay eyes, as volunteers.
So since we're in public forum, is it the correct action to continue the forum and leave the item open?
Correct,
Vote
so
on
that
it?
we could, so what would happen, my suggestion is that we continue the public hearing so that we can gather more information,
Okay.
have the application referred to town engineer for review of infiltration, the stormwater report. I would like an engineer's eyes on it. I'm not an engineer. I'm an unpaid volunteer, doing the best I can. So I would like this referred to the town engineer for that level of review, given the impact. Is there any other information that board members would like to see presented from the applicant or additional information reviewed by the engineer?
I have a hazmat concern, not that the chemicals themselves bother me because they're already in use, but if we're moving them into a new building, new facility, is the fire marshal and the emergency services been notified that this is going to happen? I understand the chemicals are potentially corrosive because they are for treatment of rust and corrosion, right? So there's safety cards and things that go along with that?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
So like an emergency mitigation plan included?
I was just looking for what was the notification mechanism to let the fire chief and the emergency services know that these buildings will not contain these chemicals when complete. I just worry about guys rushing into a building where there's sodium that's burning, things like that. That's my only comment.
Okay.
If I may, there is an existing spill control countermeasures and containment plan for the site.
Okay.
So that details the measures that would be taken for any kind of spill. It's similar chemicals, and it would apply to
The entire site?
The entire site, that's correct. So
Okay.
there does exist a plan, who to call in an emergency situation, spill, emergency services, and so forth. But we wanted to make sure that there was one in place before the meeting, and Connecticut Water was able to confirm.
Okay, so if we could have a copy of that plan provided before the next meeting as well. Anything else? All right. So I'll entertain a motion to continue the public hearing to get that information and engineer review. A motion by John to continue.
A second.
I have a second by June. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Public hearing is continued to next month so we can gather that information. Thank you. Moving on to item F, 24-6TA of B. Paul Kaplan Esquire, requesting a text amendment to Section 13 sign regulations to allow construction of new billboards along Interstate 395 by special permit. Do we have someone to speak for the applicant?
Good evening, my name is Paul Sweet, 260 New Road, Woosop, Connecticut is my mailing address. Obviously, I'm not Paul Kaplan, and I'm here tonight representing P&C LLC, which is American Industry that own properties along the highway. Tonight, there's a couple things I want to ask of you, but first of all, I just want you to know that we're proposing an amendment for the new billboard. We're not talking about grandfather billboards or non-conforming billboards. We're proposing a text amendment to be able to install a billboard. And right now, the way the regulations are, or lack of regulations, it wouldn't be, you would have nothing to be able to look at to judge an application. Having said that, I've learned a lot about billboards, and I'm not an expert, but the consultant work that I do for 4 or 5 companies in this town, the history of the planning and zoning board, we like to see things up front, and I know, and I understand that, and I appreciate that. I know that looking at the proposed text amendment for tonight, that you're going to have questions on that I would like to be able to go back and to revisit the actual language of the text amendment. Doing that based on comments from the engineering office, planning office downstairs. So having said that, I'm asking you to continue the public hearing, if you would, for this application.
So are you asking for it to be opened and take comments from the public tonight, or are you asking that it not be opened so the clock doesn't start?
If you open it and you're going to be asking questions that aren't going to be relevant the next time we meet,
So you're asking not to open the public
I
hearing this
would
evening?
probably ask you not to open the public hearing.
Okay. So we have a request from the applicant not to open the public hearing this evening.
That's what I've read, that's right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So hearing that, if there's no objection for board members, don't need a motion. We just don't open it. All right. Any objections? Okay, hearing and seeing none, we will move on to the regular meeting. So that public hearing is not opened, so that will be on next month's agenda. Regular meeting called to order. We have one addition, correction to the agenda. An item to add under new business, item C, 24-7 SPL of Pamela Jones requesting site plan approval for expansion of employee parking at 131 Norwich Road, Assessors Map 15, Block 75, Lot 4, C2 zoning district. Do we have a motion to add that to the agenda?
I'll make the motion, add it to the agenda.
I have a motion by June to add it to the agenda.
Second.
I have a second by Bart. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that is added new business item C. All right, citizen participation. This is opportunity for the public to address the board on something that is not an agenda item or a public hearing. All right, seeing none. Moving on to the unfinished old business. Item A, 24-3 SPL of Robert Carpenter, PE, requesting permission to create a boarding house in an existing building on 261 Main Street, Moosup, Assessors Map 2M, Block 107, Lot 16, C2 zoning district. Any items for discussion among board members?
Based on the staff report, am I to understand that the middle ground on the parking is a phase 1, phase 2, that would be conditional, that if the zoning office determines there is a parking issue with the building, they are authorized to permit phase 2? Am I reading that correct, Ryan?
That is correct. They're not anticipating it's going to need the additional 7 spaces, but we also have to assume that United Services may not always own this building.
Right.
And in the future, a new owner might need all the parking spaces.
So this permit goes with property, not the applicant.
Correct. So this allows our office at any point in time to say, you now need that extra parking.
Got it. And they had requested 16 occupants, so we are reducing that to 12 recommended.
So the 16 would have been if they incorporate the 3rd story, which they're not. There's no plan for that at this moment, so they have to come back in the future. At that time, we can evaluate how much parking is being used and what we needed for the additional occupants.
Any other items for discussion on the application?
I would actually move to approve. Do you want me to read the conditions that I already have listed? If that is so, I would move to approve this special permit with the following conditions, stipulations. Number 1, the boarding house is permitted for 12 occupants and 2 staff members. Number 2, phase 1 parking is allowed for 12 occupants and 2 staff members, with the condition that the town planner or CEO can issue an order for phase 2 to be constructed if vehicles are parking outside of the designated parking spaces. Number 3, if phase 2 parking is constructed, the white vinyl fence shall be constructed per the plan. Number 4, if the existing garage is demolished, a white vinyl fence along the northerly boundary shall replace it. And number 5, Mylars are to be recorded in the clerk's office along with the special permit before the zoning permits are issued.
Thank you. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Bart with conditions and a second by June. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, application is approved with those conditions. All right, item 24-3TA, Town of Plainfield requesting modification to section 14, non-conforming buildings, lots, and uses, abandonment to allow for the replacement and modernization of legally conforming billboards that advertise to Interstate 395 to modern standards. Items for discussion on this application? So at the last meeting, I brought up that because this is a non-conforming text, I had a concern that the proposed text is actually making the use more non-conforming when, as a Planning and Zoning Commission, it's in our intent to make things more conforming or more in compliance. So my concern is that we're looking at a text that doesn't accomplish the intent of the Commission, which is standardization, conformity, that it would actually be creating more non-conforming. So that was the issue I had brought up at the last meeting for consideration. Did anyone have any thoughts regarding that?
I don't have an issue with the conformity as much, though I am concerned that we are making exceptions. I think what I'm more bothered by is we have two separate amendments before us, one of them on a month lagging timetable, similar text but not identical, and yet they both seek the same result. So I'm not in favor of extra bureaucracy. I don't know if the right answer is that there is one amendment or if the text of the amendment should be brought into alignment so we're actually looking at the same thing. I don't like the idea of new gets different than existing, but it's just simple semantics. That's my opinion.
So we do have to look at these applications separately because they are separate. But if what you're saying is that another application may capture the same.
They seem to be very similar in spirit and in text. They differ in their approach. It would be very strange to codify both and have them in the code book and they read kind of opposite. So that's
Understood.
Yeah, because you'll be in two separate sections.
Correct.
yeah, it's two addendums to the signage section.
I have noticed that there actually is a electronic one.
Yes.
It wasn't there, I don't know, 6 months ago, but on the rest of it, there's none of it. I don't see anything, except the big sign that says for sale on these properties. So I guess, I don't know, is something like this working with the market?
So this particular text is specific to non-conforming uses.
Right.
So this particular text would only be looking at the particular non-conforming billboard that already exists on 395. So my concern is making a non-conforming more non-conforming, and it would be the only non-conforming that would be allowed to be more non-conforming, if that makes sense. So for that reason, I wouldn't be comfortable adopting a regulation that I feel goes against the intent of what we should be making non-conforming uses. We should be reducing them or bringing them into compliance, not making them more non-conforming. Anyone else with a topic of discussion on this application?
In conformity would be in compliance with the existing regulations in terms of square footage, placement,
Correct.
the current limitations we're
Yeah.
looking at. Okay.
Yeah, which currently they're not allowed. Only
Right.
non-conforming are allowed. Grandfathered, so non-conforming, i.e. grandfathered,
Right.
are currently allowed.
It was changed 2007, signage.
Correct, yes.
Do you know why, do you remember why?
I do not recall that, and I did not have opportunity before the public hearing on this particular application. But there, since we do have the separate application, it was going to be one of my questions for staff to research that item for public hearing next month. So for this application, no. I didn't research that.
The other concern that I would have looking at this, aside from the text amendment piece of it, Madam Chair, is the fact that when we look at the POCD, there is no specific discussion of signage. However, there is enormous strength put on preserving the last green valley, keeping the quiet corner the way it is. I am concerned that a large set of signage, we're talking about 672 square feet worth of sign on the side of the highway, does that spoil some of what is intended to be preserved both by both federal decree and by our own economic plan? So I have some significant reservations about moving forward with this text amendment at this time. I'm not a big fan of putting things up in that way.
Sure. All right, so the text amendment at hand is specific to the non-conforming. So as a commission, you have the ability to approve the application, deny the application, or, and since it's a town application, denial could be sending back for revision and representation. So I would say that I am not comfortable approving this text because, once again, my biggest intent is to make planning and zoning standard and fair, and I don't feel expanding a non-conforming use for one specific place is standard or fair.
So is the right action to reject the text amendment and request it be redrafted, or can we simply send it back to the town without an act?
So we don't have to give any advice of what to do. We can approve, we can deny.
Okay.
If we felt it was text worthy of bringing it back, we could certainly have staff work with the town to do so. I would not make that recommendation because I don't think amending non-conforming text is in line with what I've experienced in 20 years in planning and zoning. Yeah. So the application, for anyone interested in making a motion, in general, motions are preferred to be in the affirmative, so that a yes means you're voting for the project and a no means you're voting against the application. It does not prohibit you from making a motion to deny if you so desire, but with the awareness that if a motion to deny fails, a motion to approve must be made, because the opposite of a denial is not automatic approval. You have to have a motion to approve. So regardless of how you vote on the application, it is recommended that you make a motion in the affirmative so that a yes is for the application and a no is against the application. So in that spirit, I will make a motion to approve 24-3TA. Do I have a second? Seconding does not indicate how you're voting on the application.
I
It's
guess
just,
the only way to move forward.
it's just moving the question
I
forward.
will second the
All
motion
right.
so we can proceed.
So I have made the motion to approve. Bart has made the motion,
I seconded the motion.
seconded the motion. Are there any other items for discussion? So as I indicated, you do not have to, sorry. The question is framed in the affirmative so that your vote is for the application or against the application. So all those in favor of the application, say aye. All those opposed to the application, say no.
No.
No. Any abstentions? And we have one abstention. All right. Roll call vote for the minutes. Frank Mills? We have to do a roll call since it was.
Frank Mills.
Abstain? You abstain, great.
Like just roll call, I also say my name, yeah.
No, just abstain, yes. Bart?
Nay.
June Gagnon? John Meyer? And Carla Destrades, no. So let the record show there were 4 noes and 1 abstention. Moving on to item C, 24-1SA of Albert and Susan Monty, and I believe that public hearing is still open. Sorry.
Yes, so we did not start.
We did not open it, but we do have to continue the business, the application. So I'll make a motion to continue the applications next month.
So moved.
I have a motion by John,
Second.
second by June. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Item D, 24-6 SPL Plainfield Garage and Storage, and this one, the public hearing is also not open.
Correct.
So we are continuing that to next month. I'll entertain a motion to continue.
So moved.
I have a motion by Bart,
Second.
second by John. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? Application continued. Item E, 24-11 SP Town of Plainfield, requesting special permit to add 12-by-24 shed and relocate existing 12-by-24 shed, 8 Community Ave, Assessors Map 2P, Block 19A, Lot 6, RA 19 zoning district. Any items for discussion on this application?
Madam Chair, do we need to vote for the waiver request prior to the vote for the special permit, or are they one and the same?
I believe we can just put that as a
I would do this
separate vote? Okay. All right. So addressing the waiver request, the request was a waiver of the site plan submission.
Yes.
Since it's not interfering with the parking or the traffic, I would be supportive of that waiver request.
So I would move that we approve the waiver request.
I have a motion by Bart to approve and a second by June. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And then for the application, any other items of discussion on the application as presented?
Move to grant special permit.
All right. I have a motion by Bart to approve. Second by June. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Application is approved with the waiver. Item F was also continued, so I will entertain a motion to continue that to next month. I have a motion by John and a second by June. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, applications continue to next month. Item G, 24-6TA, that was also not opened, but need to continue the business. Entertain a motion to continue.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by June to continue. Second by John. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Continue to next month. Moving on to new business. Item A, 24-2SA of custom-built homes by Greg Lato, proposing 9-lot subdivision with an 800-foot cul-de-sac road on property located at 0 Spalding Road, Assessors Map 26, Block 10, Lot 12, RA 60 zoning district.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Greg Law, a licensed land surveyor with Killingley Engineering Associates for the place of business at 114 Westcott Road in Danielson. I do have a full-size set of plans that I will distribute to the commission.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Which page are we starting on?
We'll probably start on, let's see, page 5.
Okay, thank you.
So the property is located on the east side of Spalding Road. It's 18.6 acres. It's about towards the southern end of Spalding Road, about 2,000 feet before Cape Downing Road, or the intersection of Cape Downing Road. On sheet 5 is the parcel history. I'm sorry, it's kind of from my set. Not in my set, but anyways, the parcel history shows you kind of the overall layout of the subdivision. There's 9 lots that we're proposing. We're also proposing 800 feet of a cul-de-sac road that will come off of Spalding Road. The parcel has been in ownership of the Zara family going back to 1967. Custom-built homes by Greg Lato purchased the property last year in 2023. We did exercise a free split. That's kind of the white parcel that you see in the upper left-hand corner of your parcel history map. So that map has been recorded, and we indicated that in the table that is above that, showing the lot that came out. The property, I'm gonna switch to my color up from the sheet number 6 that you're looking at. This is the front half of the subdivision. It's also the color plan that you see before you. This shows the first 5 lots. They will all be frontage lots. We're in the R60 zone. Will be supported or will be on-site septic systems. We have done test pits. They did pass. The plan is currently at NDDH. It's been there a little over a month for their subdivision review process. So we anticipate that back shortly. We did receive approval from the Inland Wetlands Commission in June of last month. There are some wetlands associated with the site. There's 3 individual wetlands. There's a roadside swale along Spalding Road. That's a small wetland that we will be crossing with a pipe. Again, that just intercepts drainage along the side of the road. And there's also on, switch one more sheet, there's a wetland pocket on lot number 6. There's a small wetland pocket there, and then there's a larger wetland that bisects on lots 5 and 4. There's also a proposed crossing there. Those items were approved last month. Each lot's pretty typical. We've shown the house, well, the septic. We're showing footing drains. We're showing silt fence. We're showing the clearing limits that'll be there. We're showing stockpiles where they'll be placed for the individual lot development. The road itself is going to have an open here. I know they asked our office for a little bit more drainage calculations, so that's currently being worked on. So we are anticipating asking for this to go into next month for that part. That's pretty much all we have. I will open it or turn it back over to you if there's any questions from the commission.
Any question from board members? We are waiting for the, excuse me, zoning staff and town engineer to review the drainage, road design, etc. Yeah?
When we previously reviewed this on the prelim, there was a concern about the number of offshoot roads with respect to cul-de-sacs. Was that under the conservation versus conventional, or is that still a zoning restriction?
So I believe that was the conservation.
That was the conservation.
And that's why they wanted to do the conventional.
Okay, thank you for
If my memory serves. I don't believe you were there.
No, Norm was there.
Okay, okay. But that's my memory serving me, I think, so. So yeah, that was, and any issue, because the conservation subdivision would have required more disruption of wetlands.
Yes.
Whereas the conventional actually was less disruption of
Correct.
wetlands.
And the parcel that remains, the front white parcel, that was originally owned by the original landowner for farming purposes. There was originally discussion about a split usage or split variance.
And it's owned presently by the owner, and it's been split off for development. So it's basically, since the lot had not been divided since the inception of subdivision regulations in town, he was entitled to a free division of that property.
I see. Thank you.
And there is one, I mean, basically most of this lot that we have in front of us is wooded. There's one 8/10 of an acre field on lot number 9 that's left. They were both smaller fields that were there, little hay fields. The rest of it is a wooded lot, and it's gently sloped. It's only about 3 to 5% slopes up here.
Okay. So I will entertain a motion to continue the application.
So moved.
Motion by Bart and a second by June. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Applications continue to next month.
Thank
See you
you.
then. Thank you. Item B, 24-1ZC of Lynn Lalibert, requesting a zone change for 8 Academy Hill Road from RA 60 to commercial. Assessors map 1P, block 56, lot 43. This does require a public hearing.
Will we schedule a public hearing for the August 13th meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission?
I have a motion by Bart to schedule. I have a second by June. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Application is scheduled for public hearing at our next regular meeting. Item C, 24-7 SPL of Pamela Jones, requesting site plan approval for expansion of employee parking at 131 Norwich Road, Assessors map 15, block 75, lot 4, C2 zoning district. Do we have presenting for the applicant tonight?
We don't have to answer this yet, it's just an amendment, so it'll just be accepted.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to continue to the next meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by June to continue. Second by John. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Application is continued to next month. Review and act on the minutes of the June 11th meeting. I did have I just need to find it, but I do have a small revision, very small. You do an excellent job, Sherry. So it was on, page 3, item C. When the motion was made, the motion was to continue the application, not the public hearing. So just replace public hearing with application. Because the public hearing had been closed, so that motion was so that was under unfinished old business. Item C, the motion was to continue the application because the public hearing had already been closed. Did anyone else have any other items? Also, actually, there's under citizens participation, just a spelling correction on the name. Sean is actually S-E-A-N-N. So if we could just correct that as well. So I think those are the only 2 items I saw.
Move to approve as amended by the chair.
All right, I have a motion to approve as amended by Bart and a second by June. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you. Any correspondence? No correspondence. Report from zoning enforcement.
Just a report that I said
Okay. And report from planning.
The Dow Road Bridge project will be going forward next spring. Intraoil redevelopment, the survey work has been completed for the flood zone elevations, and the developer is updating his plans for submission for the CIF grant. Lucid Valley Trail continues to be under construction. Latham Road sidewalks should be starting fairly soon. The high school annex property, which will be the new pavilion, the pre-bid meeting has been scheduled for this week. And Shepherd Hill sidewalks under
15th.
construction.
The 15th. Going to start the 15th.
Okay, so Shepherd Hill will start on the 15th. Rotary Park, they're currently working on that. And Lions Park, the fitness court, basketball court pads have been poured, and fitness equipment is currently being installed.
Okay. Thank you. So under other, we have the discussion of the gravel operations. Staff has provided a copy of Killingly's regulations for reference.
Actually, there's 4 there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Illinois, Brooklyn, Sterling, and Park.
All right, for reference. At our last meeting, we asked staff to start to draft the revisions, which included the revisions to hours of operation, the increasing of buffer zones, and then including an amendment that would limit the amount of gravel excavation when it's residential, so that a housing project didn't turn into an unpermitted gravel operation. Were there any other items that you want staff to include, or reserving until we look at the other towns?
I gotta read this.
Yeah,
This is very thick. I gotta have at least a couple of
Okay.
days.
All right, so we will keep that on the agenda for next month as well. So if there's nothing else from board members or staff, I have a motion to adjourn by June and a second by John. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you, everybody. Meeting is adjourned. Have a great evening.